We are live! Who's ready for your favorite CPCU show ever? Well, I don't know, tied 1A, 1B would sell like a CPCU. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of biased both ways, so Heather would definitely say this is the top one. So this is your weekly dose of CPCU-ness. This is How to CPCU, put on unofficially by the CPCU Society, but volunteers of the CPCU Society have banded together to put this out there. This is a reminder, please like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, retweet, get it out there to both CPCUs and insurance professionals, whoever could use this information. As always, I am Matthew Struck. I am joined by Heather Blevins, as usual. Heather, it's Inauguration Day.
It is. It's a big day in America, isn't it?
Hopefully it is the day that all the smoke clears and all the stuff goes away and we can just like get back to work and, punch the clock and stuff. So yes, that is today. So if you are watching the recorded version, today is Inauguration Day that we are recording on. But I have to tell you that turnabout is fair play. So I subjected you to a room full of agents and brokers last week. And now I, in turn, because I am all for equality, will be surrounded by claims people this week, correct?
Absolutely. We just thought we should bring you into the world of, the best interest group ever.
Yeah. Is there like a secret handshake I have to learn, or like do I have to walk across hot coals or something like that?
I don't know. We used to hug a lot. I don't know what we're gonna do the next time we meet each other.
From a distance.
Learn that distance hug.
Well, seeing as how you are the inside guy, I gotta have a guy. I'm from Jersey. I always got a guy, right?
Yeah.
You are the inside guy. I will leave it up to you to introduce our two esteemed guests for this week.
Absolutely. We have Gregg Golson, who is a longtime member of the Claims Interest Group. And we also have Tony LaRocca, who was just actually instilled as the Dallas CPCU chapter president.
Congratulations! So, what official capacities are all three of you leaders within the IG, or is one of you chair currently?
Actually, no. I serve as the social media geek for our interest group. Greg and Tony, we'll just let you guys explain your roles.
Go ahead, Tony.
Yes, no, I'm just a member of the group, and so just regularly participate in the group and in our meetings and everything. So, yeah. Awesome.
And I'm the liaison to the publications committee. I'm on the publications and membership committees also. So it's a very fun group. I think we have the best live dinners. We may not compete with the 3IG for the party, but we have the best live dinners. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm not sure anyone can dethrone 3IG. I don't know. Like that's tough. That's tough. That's like taking on Goliath, is what it is.
We are happy to partake of 3IG's parties, though. No, our chair is actually Brian Ponabianco, and our co-chair is Denise Brown for the Claims Interest Group. So,
which we've had Denise on before, so that's fantastic. So we have to get Brian on. So that is like we have to find a way to work him in. Which, by the way, Joann, you have the link. You can come on if you would like to be our fifth square on the Hollywood Squares. Then we'll just need 4 more to fill out the board. But Anne is checking in. She is here as well, watching live. This is also a reminder, anyone who's watching live, you can ask questions, share your comments, and things like that with our guests. So I guess the real question that is at the heart of every single interest group, right, is what kind of value does the interest group bring to CPCU Society members that are, of that persuasion, or maybe even interested in that industry vertical and learning more about it. So, Tony, you are on the ground, a member, like experiencing that value proposition real time, kind of like, to you, what does the Claims IG mean as far as a value for you?
I'd say bringing a lot of different perspectives. So we have people from different parts of the industry, whether it's the agency side or the carrier side, and just getting to get those different perspectives. I think that's one of the great things. I mean, lots of great people in the group. Like we were talking about, we have a lot of fun together. We did a virtual wine tasting during or after InterRisk one day, and so that was really fun. It's just a great group of people.
Awesome. What about you, Greg? What would you say the big value proposition is there for the Claims IG?
I think for people that do participate, as Tony said, it's a very diverse group, both gender-wise, ethnicity-wise, and also background-wise. We have everything from one-person consultants to people at large carriers in the group. So you get a different perspective on claims, and everything from workers' compensation to auto to property claims, commercial, residential. It's a very diverse group in claims. So you're getting a lot of different perspectives. We contribute a lot to the webinars, and also both to InterRisk and also to the Insights magazine.
Awesome. Heather, we haven't been able to kind of delve into it, just you and I on this, but from your, I guess, former life in claims, is that right? So your former life in claims seems like it kind of stuck a little bit because you're still in the mix here. So what does the IG bring to you in terms of value?
Absolutely. This interest group keeps me connected to what I've always considered to be my heart in the insurance industry, and that's the claims world. I work with people in claims in my role as an organizational change analyst, and I help claims people move through various changes, but I'm not on the ground anymore in the day-to-day of claims. So what I absolutely love about this interest group is, especially what Greg mentioned there, is that we have a very diverse group of people who have decided to step up and be committee members and take leadership roles within the interest group. Our chair actually is like a director of like solution strategies with a company up there in New Jersey. So we won't mention companies right now, but he's in the claims world, but really from that analytics side of everything. And so but we bring a lot of different perspectives, and we love collaborating, especially with other interest groups and what we do. Whenever we produce events for InterRisk or we do webinars, collaboration is very key to us because we understand that claims kind of sits in the middle of that world where agency and underwriting kind of crash together at times. So, and claims has to sit there and sort it all out. So we want to make sure that we stay connected to those particular worlds in our industry.
Yeah. Well, so that's a good point that you raise, is a lot of people think or may think about claims as just the on-the-ground adjuster, right? Like that's all they think about. When claims is becoming extremely tech-driven, extremely analytical, like you said. So like my question to you, Greg, would be, in addition to, what people would assume being claims adjusters as part of the IG, what other roles are people in that are coming to the IG and contributing to meetings and articles and webinars that are coming out of the IG?
We have people that like Brian are solution oriented. We have consultants, expert witnesses. So it's a big group, big tent of claims people. There's so many different organizations, middle markets, large, small, independent adjusters. So it's just a big melting pot of claims.
That's awesome. And Tony, do you come at it from an adjuster place, or what's your role currently professionally?
Yes, so I'm a supervisor. I supervise adjusters on the casualty side, auto and liability claims.
Oh, you get all the fun phone calls.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Tony actually presented at InterRisk on having empathy handling COVID-19 claims.
Right.
That's very interesting. what kind of drew you to giving that presentation? What was like the guts of it?
Yeah, and so at that time, I was handling some property claims. It's been recent that I've become a full supervisor role or come into that role, but just in handling those cases, just having compassion for the business owners, even though in the majority of the cases there wasn't coverage, unfortunately. Just seeing the situations that they were in, and just I guess reminding people to listen and not to be just looking at the end goal that, okay, this is just another claim I have to deny. Let's think about the actual people and the businesses that are involved in that.
Yeah, I can say, coming from the broker side, I appreciate claims adjusters that take that into account, right? Because it's maybe it's not really easy, but I mean, some claims adjusters are just of the persuasion of like, look, I have to be completely neutral. I have to figure out what's covered, and then, don't say anything on any side. I mean, understandably, there's a professional, how should I put it, self-preservation thing there, where it's like, look, I don't want to give anyone the illusion that something's covered when it's not, right? But there's also, a very human aspect to it that is extremely important and can actually grease the wheels to make a favorable claim settlement out of something that's a really horrible situation. So how was your experience presenting for Into Risk, Tony, in the virtual environment?
It was good. It was different. It was one of those conversation cafes. And so there were quite a few people in there, but we had some technical difficulties starting out. But once we got through those, it went well, and it just took some time for people, I think, to get comfortable with that size of group.
Yeah, definitely.
To start talking, but once they did, I thought it went well.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. What are some of the emerging risks that you guys see? Heather, Greg, if you want to chime in, what are some of the emerging risks that you see besides just COVID? Because that's like dominating the landscape right now.
Right now, cyber is so huge, and it's not just, and it's bigger and bigger and bigger going on with cyber because of the remote people working from home. People, when you're working from home, potentially in your pajamas, you may not be self-aware, or you're helping homeschool your kid at the same time. You may not see that phishing attack going on. So the cyber is huge right now, from a ransomware and from just the claims in general. I think it's one of the next. We're getting better and better at ensuring that risk, but a lot of it is. Especially when you get down to residential, it's not covered. A lot of the policies don't have that yet. The other emerging issue out there, with the number of storms we had last year, I believe that paramedic insurance is going to be huge. We're going to be moving to having sensors on roofs. If you have an 80-mile-an-hour wind in your area, you automatically get $10,000 for a roof. Bypassing the adjuster, bypassing everyone, the private flood is a huge, huge thing because of the gap insurance. Most people don't know that flood insurance covers $250,000 in ACV. How many houses on the beach can you buy for $250,000? About that many,
Yeah, I was gonna say a tenth of one.
And I'll jump in here, Greg, and say, and this may be a hot button topic right now, but with all of the shift and the move around qualified immunity with the law enforcement community right now, that is a whole new level of personal risk that is going to need to be insured for that particular community in the United States. So having, watched my own state in Illinois passed a law this past week regarding that. And so there's going to be some significant changes, and insurance companies are going to have to figure out a way to provide for that type of a risk. It is so incredibly different than how it's been handled in the past, where municipalities might have been self-insured for certain amounts and everything, and now that risk is being transferred in a different way. So I would see that is a market that I don't know that a lot of people are going to want to get into, but it's a market that's going to need to be insured, and it's going to start being a claims market as well, where you're going to see a lot of claims.
And one of the other big issues that we uncovered this year, slightly COVID related, but lumber prices went up almost 100% in like 3 months. And so there was shortage of lumber that affected the period of restoration. When we started looking at this, it wasn't just COVID. It was a perfect storm of events going back 16, 24 months regarding the tariffs we had with Canada, the wildfires, the unrest, the pine beetle problem in Canada, the stumpage fees in Canada. So that ended up being a huge issue for a lot of carriers, not being able to get lumber, but not knowing how to properly price estimates if you don't know what lumber is going to cost 2 to 3 months from now.
That's really interesting. And that's something that I think if you're an insured, you're definitely not thinking with that mindset, right? But also, if you're an underwriter who doesn't necessarily anticipate those things, or say you're an actuary who's setting rates or helping to set rates, that's a really important feedback that comes from the claims level team, because that momentary supply shortage might not be global either, right? So like coming out of Superstorm Sandy, gas, lumber, concrete, all of the main building blocks of society, so to speak, along the East Coast were in very high demand, and the prices shot through the roof. Meanwhile, you didn't necessarily have a supply shortage elsewhere in the country. So that's also a really interesting dynamic. Now, I think analytics is beginning to play a bigger and bigger role in this, right? Are you guys having a similar conversation? It seems like every year, every 2 years, brokers always have the conversation of like, well, is our job going to get outmoded or what? I think claims, you guys probably have a similar conversation going on, right?
Most definitely.
Yes.
I think Heather can talk from a large insurer standpoint with all the changes they've made in the past 3 to 5 years, just based on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a reality, but I think it's not about jobs going away. I think it's about jobs evolving and becoming something different than they were before. The role of the underwriter is going to be very different in the future. They're still going to need people, though. They're going to need people with relationship skills who can deal with other people. And that's what claims people do. The heart of what claims is relationships, and being able to build a relationship in an sometimes and oftentimes adversarial circumstances, because claims is that place where the contract gets real, okay? And I mean, that's where it goes down, folks, right? And it's also the place, though, where the company keeps its promise to a customer, to fulfill the contract. So that whole relationship doesn't really change. How you do it, and in what ways you do it, and what technologies that you do to handle it, those are the things that are going to change. And that's why the claims roles and claims people today have to be so in tune to how they can advance their skill sets when it comes to utilizing virtual technology to inspect losses. Utilizing all of these developing and emerging technologies that have really exploded this past year due to the pandemic. And Tony, I'm sure you were right in the thick of that, dealing with claims and having to adjust losses that you normally might have gone out and looked at, but then you had to rely on other things to be able to make it through, right?
That's right. Yeah. I did attend an inspection for the first time via Zoom. That was actually just a couple of months ago. A new case that was that had just entered into litigation to help, and I guess to that, going back to the compassion and empathy thing. I mean, I guess you can develop AI to have compassion and empathy, but I just don't think it's the same as having that that person there. And then also although this. I'm kind of with y'all. I don't see the technology taking away jobs, but I think one thing it'll help is we have such a a talent gap, and we have so much knowledge in our industry that are nearing the end of their careers. And so I think that technology will help us with that. That's what I think the benefit is.
Right. I had the opportunity, Matt and Heather, to present with a incredible broker, Lisa Bracero, probably one of the top video influencers on LinkedIn that I know in the industry.
ABIG leader, thank you.
We actually talked on the third tool that everyone that's a CPC is a continual learner. You also have experience with that. I believe the third leg is EQ. And if you continue to increase your EQ or emotional intelligence, you'll always be valuable because you're such a strong communicator in our industry. I don't believe it's going to be a long time before they have strong EQ with AI. I'm sorry.
Well, the other dynamic is that I think we get into this all the time with AI, right? It's always like, people watch Terminator once and they think like that's what reality is going to be in the future, okay? The AI is really good at targeted tasks, right? It's not good when you have a AI that's designed for one thing and then try and translate another thing. It usually becomes a complete train wreck, right? And I think that's the dynamic that's really going to show that these technologies are more going to be tools, right? So like to Mike K's point, like it's more an upskilling kind of behavior than it is goodbye, we don't need your job role anymore, right? Like the role might change a little bit, or the nuts and bolts of it might change a little bit. But that's really kind of the perspective that the brokers are getting too, is the job isn't going to be exactly the same. The good news is, or I guess the blessing and the curse is, that we've got a ton of older folks aging out, right? So there's a lot of brain drain that's going on, which, by the way...
Matt, quit talking about me that way.
Yeah. Absent present company. No. But you have a number of folks that are going to end up retiring out. You're going to lose expertise. This show is in some way, shape, or form a way of trying to digitize and encapsulate expertise over a period of time for what it's worth. But the younger folks that are coming in are going to have to be trained in these new tools and business workflows that are associated with it. Do you all see, like Tony is a supervisor, do you see people still actively, are there young kids actively looking to become part of the insurance industry, or is it something where you have to kind of like drag them in kicking and screaming?
No, I do see it. I think thanks to a lot of the university, the GIS groups and RMI programs. I mean, I am seeing in our area, in the Dallas area, with UTD for an example. I mean, there are plenty of other colleges as well, but I mean, yeah, I'm surprised because most people were not thinking about getting into insurance in college, and so I am seeing more of that, and I think we do need to continue to do a better job of promoting the industry, but that is happening some, and we just need to continue that.
That's good news, because I think a lot of folks are worried that there's just going to be empty offices all over the place, but it definitely doesn't seem that way, right? Like it's still not an easy sell, right? Like it's not like, oh, come to Wall Street. Like everyone's like, oh, okay, I'll go don't mind me, I'll make $1 million a year. Don't worry about it, right? Like, but yeah, it's not like dire circumstances, but I think some folks are worried that it could get to that point. But so it's reassuring to know that you guys are getting people in the ground floor, and what's nice is they all come with a little bit different technology acumen than maybe some of the older folks out there that you would hire, or still kind of like working their way through their end years within the career before they retire. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this question. So in terms of how you translate all of this into the claims IG and kind of the contributions to the society, does a lot of this end up in articles and insights? Is it webinars? all of the above? I mean, do you basically have a really good kind of presence in all of those different, mediums that you can contribute on?
Yes, Matt. We've been platinum so long it doesn't even matter anymore.
Just write it in ink.
It's a diverse group. We actually try to reach out to the different strengths of the people. Some people are stronger presenters. Some people are really awesome writers. And some of the people belong to organizations that have stuff in their hand that no one.
Yeah, no, that.
Yeah, it helps. It helps to use people's strengths. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's actually something we have to work on at Agents and Brokers Interest Group. I think we've been really solid in like the presentation formats. We definitely have to work on the articles, and kind of the written word. Heather, you brought up an interesting point with like police legal liability, right? That's very much I would think that it's dominated. In fact, I have personal experience. It's mostly dominated by attorneys, right? Like the attorneys typically drive the boat on that one. Do you guys have many attorneys in the claims IG, or is that something where, because there's a couple of other IGs that have more attorneys in terms of like the percentage of membership, is that more of a collaboration, or do you have a couple of attorneys actually in the IG working with you guys?
Yeah, we actually do. In fact, we up until just really recently, just because she had a job role change, we actually had somebody who was on our committee who was an attorney. So we, but we also look for opportunities that we can reach out and partner with, like Clue, because that's their world that they play in and everything. And
anyone who's not familiar, what does Clue stand for? Now I'm putting you on the spot.
Coverage, litigation,
expert
witnesses.
Yes. Sorry, educators. I always thought it was expert, but it's educator. Coverage, litigators, educators, and witnesses. Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
You pass.
You pass. No, but yeah, I mean, there's so much that is evolving in the world of claims, and you talked about that next generation, and oftentimes claims is relegated to this space and talked about as a entry-level career. This is your entry-level career in insurance. You're going to be a claims intake person, or you're going to be the first notice of loss person, or you're going to be the frontline adjuster for everything. And that, that frustrates me, because claims can be a life. It can be an entire career for you, or you can dabble in it and go out of it and go back into it, because there's just such a diverse area of experiences that you can have in the claims world. We talked about analytics and how big those are today. If you're big into statistics, which I am not, go into that world if you understand, and if that's what lights you up and gets you excited. And I think that's the story that the claims interest group can really work on telling and selling for the future generations, is that this job isn't just your entry level into the company, so that you can find something else to do in the industry.
Exactly, Heather. If you want to give back, you can join the Peace Corps or become a claims person, help people on catastrophes. If you want to be an SIU, you can work in SIU and be a special investigator. So there's so many things in claims that really are cool. I'm sorry about that, Matt, that the brokers just aren't as cool as we are.
No, I'll tell you what, I'm envious. I don't know if I'd be able to do it for too long, but I grew up in the 80s and 90s watching movies like Twister and stuff like that, and I wanted to be like one of those storm chasing claims adjusters when I got into the industry. If I had to do it all over again, I think that would be challenging, and it would keep me on my toes. But Yeah, no,
Claims
that's
people
okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say claims people are definitely the adrenaline junkies, I guess. Except for you brokers too. You agents and brokers are pretty
We got
much
the highs
adrenaline
and the lows.
junkies, because there's those high and low swings that come working in that world, and I think as an interest group, we really try to be real about what claims is and what the claims world is, and we try to bring it with a lens of, this is once again the place where that contract is realized. This is the place where the rubber meets the road, in between the insurance company and the insured or the claimant, and claim sits in the middle of that, and they have such an opportunity to be able to influence all the things that are going to happen, even those actuaries, because they need all of our data. You can, there's so much influence that you can have, but you got to get out of your cubicle to see that in claims.
I think I stabbed Precious in the heart a little bit with that one. I am not changing out of being a broker. Don't worry, Precious. I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. And Matthew Maxwell, another one of the claims believers in the crowd, says, "Preach, Heather Blevins." We do have a question from Precious. It is, are there any partnerships with CLM planned in the future for the IG?
I would love to speak to that. I don't know that we've ever even thought about it. Greg, you've been around the committee just a little bit longer than me, so but have we ever thought about partnering up with CLM in some way?
CLM is actually now part of the institutes. So it is going to be unique because they are a little bit of a pay-to-play organization potentially for some of the organizations. The company that I work for does do some CLM participation, both regionally and nationally. It's a great organization, and I can totally understand why the societies thought they would be a good match to be part of the institutes.
Are you guys involved with CLM at all, Tony? Are you your organization? Do they take part in that?
Yes. I mean, me personally, just a little bit. We actually in the Dallas chapter had planned to do to try to do some joint events, and then that got slowed down due to COVID with the Dallas CLM chapter. So we hope to kind of re-engage with that, and then hopefully as an interest group as well, because that does make a lot of sense to kind of work together.
Yeah.
We should plan a webinar. Woohoo!
Yeah. I think that's also really important here. So the collaborations that most of the IGs do with each other, and then also with outside organizations, are a gigantic value add, because I've just found that there are certain aspects of the Cpcu society that are encapsulated, and it's tough. You got to be, dues paying member or whatever in order to kind of, take part in those things. But then there are also a lot of other things that are cross organizational, and the IGs are one of those things. So CLM's one, but not just outside organizations. So what other IGs have you guys collaborated with in terms of putting material together?
Pretty much everyone, all of them. I would, from 3IG to agents and brokers to the risk managers and whatnot. We've partnered them from technical papers or for the annual meeting on a lot of sessions with a lot of different groups. They generally ask us because they know we're going to get so many sessions accepted. They want to be part of the program.
Come on, Greg.
Actually, we're getting real-time feedback, people. Look at this. We're working virtually while we're having fun. Precious said CLM CEO Ann Bloom has expressed interest in working with Cpcu. So there you go. You got an in. She's Ann is waiting for your call, Greg. Let's go. Come on, hurry up.
Do it.
Let me ask you this question. So, in terms of the normal, I don't want to talk about just COVID type circumstances, right? The normal year, okay. what's like the introductory period? Obviously, anyone can get involved in any of the IGs at any time, right? But typically, is it right at the annual meeting where you all see your biggest uptick in, say, like interest and involvement, and then from that standpoint, kind of how can CPCUs and prospective CPCUs get more information about the interest group?
I'll say real quick.
Right ahead.
Sorry, I thought you were going to talk. I'll say real quick that, I'm relatively newer. It was, when was San Diego annual meeting? Was that 2018?
I think that was 18, right before New Orleans, right? 18.
So that was when I went to the annual meeting and heard about the claims interest group meeting and got in, and then they cornered me and became a member. No, I was excited to join, but I would say that from my personal experience, that was definitely a place that was an inroad, and then just continued that at Leadership Summit. So
awesome. So if someone does want more information, I'll pull up I will pull up on screen share the homepage for you guys. So this is the Claims Interest Group homepage on the CPCU Society website. So you can always find that by just going to claims.ig.cpcusociety.org. If someone does want to get involved in the interest group, would they email one of y'all, or is there like an application or something like that they would have to fill out?
Yeah, if they want to be a volunteer leader on our committee, then obviously there's an application that the CPCU Society does require. But if you want to be a member and then maybe help us in contributing in some way to like a webinar, or being a part of writing an article for Insights, or being involved in one of our interest presentations as well, you can be just a member of the Claims Interest Group and have any level of involvement that you want to have. We do. You notice our Twitter feed kind of feeds into our website there as well. We're pretty active in the social community, and maybe that's because of the social media geek that handles our social media, referring to myself. But we just really felt like that we needed to change the conversation that was happening. And to tell you the truth, I know Tony talked about being cornered at the San Diego conference. Like I was kind of pulled in by my hair out of the hallway somehow into this group, and by the end of that meeting, I had a chair position for doing our social media. So how that happens, it just happens sometimes. But if you are interested in any type of involvement, hit us up on our webpage. You can email our chair or our co-chair, and we'll pull you in, and you're welcome to join and talk in our committee meetings as well, even if you're just joining as a member, because we love to hear from our members. And there's Brian and Denise right now, right there on the page. So, but we are very much open to any members' ideas and anyone who wants to join at whatever level of involvement that they want to be involved in our interest group.
Awesome. Ken, not that I want to pull people away from other interest groups, but are you all open to folks from other parts of the industry, other verticals, from being members or contributing to what the interest group's doing, like on a member or even a leader basis? I'll let Gregg answer that one.
I would say definitely yes, because some of our members are expert witnesses and things like this that don't handle claims every day, but they are claims experts. And it's the same thing with attorneys that are involved with us. They may actually work for a law firm. They don't work for a carrier as in-house counsel. So as long as you have an interest in claims and handle, directly, indirectly, or involved in claims, you're welcome to our Big Tent.
Well, and that's one of the things that's that's interesting about claims and that I enjoy about it. Greg kind of alluded to it earlier. I mean, you wear so many hats. I mean, you're an investigator. You've got this kind of SIU. You got to look into different things. You got some surveillance, kind of a private investigator type of thing, and then you got the medical side of it. You got the legal side of it. So you're wearing an attorney hat. So yeah, we need all those different disciplines to interact with, and they make us better.
Awesome. In addition to the CPCU, are there other designations that go along well with the claims profession? And what are those? And might be inside the Institute CPCU Society world, and some of them might be outside. Again, we don't advocate one way or the other for any specific product or solution. So, and none of us get paid, so you don't have to worry about that. But are there any other designations or kind of certificate programs that are out there that would complement the CPCU well for a claims professional?
Most definitely. The SCLA type groups, of course, AIC. There are different other organizations out there, Loman related and things like that also have legal type related things for claims.
Yeah, and I'll just clarify, like SCLA that's the claims law associate programs.
You knew that to include, didn't you?
Yeah. And Greg has all of those letters after his name, so he can name off the society has the AIC, which is the associate in claims. You've got the associate in claims management as well, the AICM, that has a good focus for you as well. And I would highly suggest anybody that's interested in that data space, you look at that AIDA program that they have right now, which is the insurance data analytics. So which I've got one part of that down. I just need to do the other part of it now. So, but yeah, there are several other routes and roads that you can go to kind of expand your claims knowledge in the knowledge space. And I would highly suggest any of those claims law programs. Those really grounded me and rooted me in the hardcore day-to-day interpretation of contract. And that's what, they have a property program, they've got a liability program, they got a fraud program, they've got workers' comp, they have a vast variety of programs that you can take, and they're what's awesome about them is they're super self-paced and super easy to keep up with, and there's no window of deadlines or anything, so it's a good program, and I would definitely suggest it. Of course, mine was old-fashioned books, and I had to fill out these little forms and everything, and today it's all online, which is so much easier.
Two other organizations that are really strong, the NASP, the National Association of Subrogation Professionals, has the designation, and the IASIU, International Association of Special Investigation Units, also has a designation that they put forth that are more niche, but almost as hard to get as some of the institute's programs too. They take a lot of they take experience working in the field for a while, and also a pretty hard test.
Awesome.
And any insurance claims trainers that are out there as well, there's a fantastic organization that you can get involved in called the Society of Insurance Trainers and Educators. And they have a Train the Trainer program that is, the book and the program for that actually is put out by the Institute. So great partnership that they have there as well.
Said the Vice President of Marketing for Psych.
Hey, we don't promote one program. We're not here to promote one thing or the other. We're just talking.
Tony, you don't have a Ferrari to sell on the side or anything like that while we're at it, do you?
Yeah. No. So humor someone who's ignorant to the space and the career track, okay? If someone is getting or looking to get into the claims track or the claims, I'll call it silo or portion of the industry, typically what's like the entry point, and then where can you go with it, right? Like, do you just start as a claims adjuster and then go from there, or are there other steps along the way?
I think I'll probably be the best one to address this. So, in my experience is more on the commercial side, so it might be a little bit different track on the personal lines, but maybe similar. So, typically, you have someone starting out in an auto PD type of role where you're dealing with just the property damage on auto accidents, and those are usually high volume, quick turnaround type of claims, and that's where you're learning all the basics, coverage, liability, damages, and you're investigating, evaluating, negotiating these claims, and so that's typically where most adjusters will start. And then in my world, they'll typically move into a bodily injury adjuster role, and then you might have some third party property damage you're handling there as well, and then it just kind of grows from there as far as do you want to keep going technically and get into some more complex or larger dollar claims. Do you want to specialize and maybe look at whether it's employer's liability or cyber or whatever that type of claim might be that you want to specialize in on a technical role. And then you've also got, of course, a management track where then you're managing adjusters or eventually managing managers in claims. And of course, my perspective is on the carrier side. And if you a lot of adjusters as they move up technically, think about moving to the agency side where then you're now helping the agents and their insureds figure out whether the adjuster got it right as far as the coverage, and kind of helping the agents make sure that they're telling the producers, I should say, telling their insureds the right things and everything. So anyway, that's kind of my perspective as far as career paths and claims.
So let me ask you a loaded question. Are you all biased against public adjusters, or is it one big happy family? That's all I'm asking. You don't have to answer that question if you don't want.
No, I was just going to say, there's also a lot of people enter into the claims industry in that independent adjuster role,
Right.
because they're not quite sure they want to get hired into a carrier and be a staff adjuster or work through that type of a role, but they want to get a taste of what it's going to be like. They want to live that cat lifestyle, where you're out there running on the road all the time, chasing storms like Twister and everything. And believe you me, it's not as glamorous as everybody makes it out to be, but that it is a good, I guess, say baptism for lack of a better word, into the world of handling like frontline claims and dealing with those insured interactions. And sometimes you're even involved in that's for sure. Sometimes you're even involved in some of the interactions with contractors, and as an independent, you're going to interact with the carrier that you're working for as well. So that world does provide multiple tracks and multiple paths for people to move through as well. And there are a lot of folks that I think a lot of people maybe taste the world of inside of insurance, maybe in a carrier or an independent adjuster role. And then they say, well, no, I want to go over here and I want to be a consumer representative. I want to represent the consumer in this contractual discussion that we're going to have during a claim. I said that really nice because sometimes it's not just a discussion. Sometimes it's a battle and a duke out and a fight. But the public adjuster, persona, I think, has probably been damaged a little bit just because you got a few bad players that are out there. And you got a few that make their name in a certain way. But there are some really great opportunities to be able to be an advocate for a consumer in the public adjusting process. And if that's your passion and that's what you're driven by, and you've got the knowledge and skills and experience to be able to represent yourself well and be a good negotiator on behalf of that consumer, that's a fantastic way to broaden and expand your career in claims.
Yeah. No, and that's good information, because I think all too often the Cpcu designation and the society gets mislabeled as like a company or a carrier only kind of house, and it's just not true. I mean, I can tell you from the broker standpoint, it's not just big brokers that are involved. It's small IAs and it's captive brokers and agents. So it's a very like you said, Greg, it's a big tent, right? And the bigger the tent is, the better the conversations get, the more diverse the kind of sharing of ideas is. And I think that's the real value is, I mean, I'm after my first one or two conventions that I go to that are nothing but brokers, I would imagine y'all on the claim side are exactly the same. It's like, oh, great, another convention where I basically know everyone. Or we're all going to talk claims all the time. I would like to hear something a little bit different from time to time. I think that's a huge value and a huge selling point for the society, but also for you all as an IG. Moving forward, what's next for you guys? I think so. We have Leadership Summit coming up, but typically you guys don't do any presentations or anything like that. At least not from the IG level, right? There might be. Are you guys going to do like a virtual happy hour? You think?
Oh, we probably need to toss one of those out there. I know we have a monthly committee meeting that we do via phone, and it's all virtual. So anybody that's interested at all and maybe joining that committee meeting just to listen in and kind of talk through some of those subjects that we talk about, because a lot of our focus is on what are we planning to submit. That call for inter-risk proposals just came out from the society, so that's going to be the focus of our next big claims interest group committee meeting, is like what are we wanting to present on, and what topics, and who's going to take care of what, and we do a lot of that throughout the year. But it when the call comes, we're ready to stand ready to be able to prepare those proposals and get speakers on board for that. So we're happy to share that. If anybody wants to come and join and maybe talk and present ideas that you might have as well. But yeah, guys, I think we need to hit Brian and Denise. Of course, a lot of us joined the longest standing happy hour ever on Friday afternoons with a bunch of people all over the place. So that one goes out every Friday at 4 o'clock.
Yeah. And it's the antithesis of what we have in Jacksonville every year. The world's largest cocktail party is the world's smallest cocktail party online too, by the way.
Sometimes it dwindles, but it definitely cannot hold a candle to whatever that Zoom meeting was that Tony Canyas had. Okay. I'm still trying to process that one in my head.
Well, that being said, I want to say thank you for you all and educating me, the ignorant broker in the room, as to what the IG is all about and kind of claims and some of the stuff that you guys are working through. Anything I miss, Heather? Is there something else that some secret sauce or something like that I missed, or did we hit on most of the big stuff here?
No, once again, I know you shared our Twitter handle there at the bottom of the screen, and I would just highly suggest that anybody who is interested in some fun interaction, we share some good quality educational material out there as well, folks, but just some fun interaction and just, tongue in cheek and having a good time. Check out our Twitter profile. We enjoy engaging all the communities out there, and we love it because, goodness, like collaboration opportunities come out of Twitter half the time for us. I think Abby Clow has already called for all the IGs to collaborate for inter-risk. So I think that's a great idea, And you're not an ignorant broker, Matt.
No.
ABIG, I think ABIG and claims and underwriting should meld together for a proposal for end risk, because we need the mind of the agent, the mind of the claims person, and the mind of the underwriter, and how these worlds meet.
I'm worried if we do that locally, the holding cell at the police department is going to be full. But you know, if we do it virtually, maybe it'll be okay. We'll make it work.
Matt, we in claims love brokers and agents. Until policy is sold, there can be no claim. Without you, we wouldn't exist. Okay.
That is true. We definitely are symbiotic in that relationship. I know that much. So, I want to thank both of you for taking time out. Obviously, this is a volunteer organization. We are not paying you or giving you any kind of fringe benefits to be here. So, I appreciate you both taking the time out of your very busy schedules. We're gonna have to do some more check-ins and some more, claim-centric material in the future. So the door is always open for you guys to come back. But again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. One last quick reminder. Actually, I'm gonna do a final parsing of the comments here. Oh, Precious is on board. She's good. She's ready to collaborate. That's good. Rick Serrato, who is basically a premium adjuster. I think we should get him in the mix too, just because he's a good time and he's fun, and he'll add some personality to the mix on that one. So, but thank you very much, everyone. A reminder: anyone who's watching, or if you watch on the recorded version, we are here every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for How to CPCU. We are looking forward to seeing you next week with, I don't know if we have a topic set up just yet, but it will be fantastic, I promise. So yes, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, and we will be coming at you again next week. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.